Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome to today's edition of Monday Motivation. We are coming to you from our podcast, and we're coming to you with some really good, amazing stuff. This is our 6th podcast, and today's podcast is about mindset. Today's podcast is titled, Certain Changes Must Be Forced Upon Us. And I wanted to come up with this podcast because a good friend of mine, Jeff, was giving me some information and some links about February and different themes to come up and talk to members about. And it seems like February is the month of doom. February seems to be the month of negativity. It's not one of the most important months. It's not one of the happiest months of the year. And when I did some Googling myself just to see if it was right, I did find that statistically, February has been known to be one of the more stressful months. Well, why? Let's look at it. We've come off the Christmas holidays. We had a lot of time to be with family, to eat, to be, enjoying the holiday spirit, even though we're dealing with our lockdown situation. We've also had time to deal with the New Year's, and January being the start of the new year, people getting ready for New Year's resolutions and getting excited to get motivated and starting a fitness program. And then what happens? January comes to an end and you have February. So I wanted to come across and give you guys some really good, powerful, motivational tips that I got listening to a really educational sermon over the weekend on Sunday. And when I was watching, I'm not a crazy religious person, but you know what? I watched an episode on Elevation Church on Sunday, just see if I can increase and broaden my spiritual side and to just get a little bit of a different view in life, and also to grab some motivational nuggets, as you may call it, from something spiritual, okay, instead of reading. Before I begin, I'm going to come to you with a quote, a famous quote by a person by the name of Swami Vivekananda. He was a spiritual Hindu leader, reformer of India, who attempted to combine Indian spirituality with Western material progress, maintaining that the two supplemented and complemented each other. And the quote hit me really good, and I figured, you know what, I have to put this quote in just before I talk about the podcast on certain changes must be forced upon us, because it makes sense. And it says, expansion is life, contraction is death. And when you hear the rest of the information that I'm going to be talking about in this podcast, it's going to make sense that in order for us to expand and to develop and to progress and to improve, we have to have something forced upon us. You can't lose 50 pounds of body fat if you're by yourself and you don't feel any of the stresses. Either your blood pressure is going high, you don't feel comfortable with the way you feel, you can't walk up a flight of stairs, you can't fit into your clothes, you want to play with your kids and you're feeling out of breath. If you don't have something forced upon you, you can't make proper change. So when going through this podcast, I said, you know what, how can I come to you guys and how can I give you some positive motivation, something that can get you guys out of the funk if you're feeling the funk of February, something to make you have a different mindset, and also something to empower you to remember that although we've gone through a 2020, which will be remembered for years, okay, I'm 42, by the time I'm 62, I'm still gonna remember that in 2020, my gym was shut down for 7 months out of the 12. We had to go on curfew, lockdowns, kids were not in school, our business suffered, people were dying like flies on a net, on TV. Countries are being shut down. This is a global thing that's affected everybody. And one outcome of this is if we're left with poor mindset, poor motivation, poor faith, if we don't have the ability to have hope for the future or to allow the future to come in, you're going to be living a life of frustration, anxiety, anxiousness. And I put together a bunch of notes here that I want to give you guys. I hope you guys will take this and get some kind of positive information from it. And hey, if you can share it with anybody you know, friends and family, we'd really appreciate that, because the more you learn, the more you earn. So let's talk about it. Certain changes must be forced upon us. Now, no matter how bad things can get, no matter how challengeful life can become, in order for us to make decisions, we need to sometimes be forced upon them, okay? And in the Bible, it talks about God sometimes takes away what we have in order to, or takes away what we have in order for us to see what's important, okay? For example, you're dealing in a relationship, you don't really pay attention to your spouse, you don't really put in the effort needed to make a marriage work, and then your marriage breaks down, your relationship breaks down, and then when you miss that person, you don't have them, you actually pay attention to what you have, or what you had. We've all had to adjust, adapt, and for some of us, improve in order to get better. Now, some of us have deteriorated. Some of us has taken this lockdown, this 2020 year of negativity, and broken down and gotten worse. I've spoken to some people say, hey man, how do you do it? Like, you know, your business is closed down. The government is telling you how to respond. You've been in business for 11 years with your wife and your team, and you've gotten to a foundation where things were going great, and now you have to shut down. Well, we have to remember that if we don't pay attention to what's happening to us and get stronger from it, it's going to make us worse. It's going to make us weaker. So the next thing I want to talk about is think of January this year as a lesson for us all, and think of what we can learn from 2020, okay? For me, COVID has taught me to have a higher level of life, a higher standard for my core values, a higher level of gratitude. So when I break that down, I know that there's things that are so important in my life that no matter how successful my business gets or how crazy the world gets, they won't overlap. Okay, some examples: I have a great job that I love. Okay, I have a family that loves me back and will be there for me. I have a partner that's supporting and motivating. No matter how many times we may get into an argument or disagreement, the bottom line is we both love each other very much. I have staff, I have clients that are willing to be supportive. I have great health. I have a love for my family that can overcome any type of situation I'm in, and I've made myself come closer with gratitude. So every morning, thanking, whether I'm writing it down, whether I'm thinking about it, whether before I leave to go to work, I'm sitting in my car and I'm telling myself, you know what, these are 4 things I'm thankful for, okay? We must get used to struggle. We must get used to uncertainty. We must get used to challenges and regular disruption in our lives, because COVID has come and affected our entire world, and it's, for some of us, allowed us to appreciate what we have, okay? So I'm gonna give you an analogy, and I'm gonna give you an analogy that has to do with how hard and how stressful we sometimes get when it comes to life. So I have had tendonitis in my elbow in 2 areas. One was called tennis elbow on the lateral side of my forearm, and one is golfer's elbow, okay? I got this first one, it affected me about 4 or 5 years ago. I went to go see Dr. Gallia, amazing doctor, sports medical doctor, and I tried getting PRP done, okay? Stands for plasma-rich platelet injection. So what they do is they remove your blood, long story short, they spin it in a vial. After half an hour, your blood is broken down. You see the yellow plasma that's in the vial. Now that plasma is full and rich of stem cell, your own stem cell. They re-inject it on top of the torn tendon area, whether it's muscle, ligament, or tendon, and that's supposed to layer itself over and create almost a stronger membrane on a torn area. If you break down bone calcifies, gets stronger. If you tear tissue is a little harder to get stronger. So the PRP injection worked. It helped me amazing. I've been going through it, lifting heavy. 4 years is great. Now I have golfer's elbow. No, I don't golf, guys, and I've never golfed. And even though I've been given the name or the reference of golfer's elbow, when I went to work on fixing my golfer's elbow or speak to my doctor about it, it was related to the same type of injury, but it was related to the type of grip I'm having. And when you're gripping things tightly in weightlifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting, you're constantly gripping things, you're constantly squeezing. And the repetitive pronation, supination, flexion, extension, that type of repetitive movement breaks down and wears down on tissue, okay? Now, what does this have to do with, certain changes that come about us? And what does this have to do with my podcast? Well, doctor said to me, and part of the analogy that I heard from the sermon was, we gotta loosen our grip in order to heal the torn tendon or the torn area of the joint. Now, for control freaks like myself, and when I say that, I say it in a positive way, where there's many control freaks in the world that wanna control their life. They want to control their destiny. They want to control their finances. They want to control how successful they become. For someone who is wanting to lose weight, they want to control the control variables, whether it's what foods I eat, when I do my cardio, when I see my coach, how much rest am I having, how much multivitamins I have. There's certain control variables that we try to control. And what ends up happening is when our lives are disrupted in 2020, we're constantly squeezing the grip on life. We're constantly squeezing the grip we have on family, on our goals, and our health, and much more. And what ends up happening, because of this tight grip, we're blinded to see what's important in front of us. And we're blinded because we're living in tension, we're living in stress, we're living in anxiety, we're living in anxiousness, which eventually leads to poor health, right? If you change your grip on the way you have on things in life, now, not to let go, but to adapt and transform your attitude, your energy, your state, your ability to be impacted versus to impact on the world, you're gonna make much more progress in your life. And again, we're constantly trying to control things, but you can't. I can't control whether the government's gonna let me open up my gym earlier. I can't control whether my children are gonna wanna follow something similar in lines or hindsight that I think is gonna be great for them. I can't control whether my wife wants to go scuba diving with me or not, right? However, if we loosen the grip that we have on life and we're not constantly trying to live in a state of control, we'll be able to see across the street and see the goal we have or what we're trying to achieve, and we won't be blinded by the traffic in front of us, okay? Now, another thing I want to talk about is we must be willing to let go of yesterday to receive tomorrow. Now, what do I mean by that? Not only does it say in the Bible that we got to let go of yesterday to receive what's coming and evident tomorrow, but in science, in sports, in relationships, in business, in all of life's failures, we need to let go of what happened yesterday. We be present in today to move and receive what's coming forward in tomorrow. And you need to release what you can't control. A prime example of not doing this sometimes is it's time to unlearn what you know or what you think you actually have control of in order to allow you what you can't control. Okay, now I'm gonna repeat that again. It's time to unlearn what you know or what you think you actually have control of to allow what you can't to not control you, okay? And when people are looking for this new normal, they're saying, you know what, I can't wait to get to the new normal. There is no new normal because what we had in the past wasn't so much of a new normal, right? We were living in crazy, hectic lifestyle schedules, our habits, social media, our addiction to technology, our lack of fitness, or for some, our ability to be overwhelmed and have OCD when it comes to fitness. We were trying to do too much. We were trying to either accomplish too much, which sometimes left a lack or a hole in terms of your personal life, the relationship with your spouse, with your kids. The list can go on. And I believe balance is going to be the new normal when it comes to each of us, and independent of our thoughts, our pessimism, our survivor skills, and how we deal with challenge. Just because you're used to a certain life, a certain way of thinking, a certain way of neglecting your body, your mind, your family, your business, your health, does not mean that you can't work on personal development moving forward. Just because last year was not good doesn't mean this year cannot be even better. And we often get stuck in a life in a way that's non-productive to ourselves, okay? We work so many hours because we're trying to control how much money we make. And then we often fail to either achieve the goal we have or we're too burnt out. Quality of life with your body. You're trying to build a business, you're trying to build a family, you're trying to build a legacy, but you're forgetting to spend time with your kids because you're too much on your phone. Taking care of your health, your community, actually making a difference in this world because you're too focused on you or what you never accomplished last year. So are we moving to conforming with the new reality, or are we transforming into the new reality? Okay? Do you or will you conform to 2021 and what it's going to provide us? Or will you transform to adapt and advance into 2021? So this month for February, we all want to set a mental agenda, okay? We need to start thinking of, let's bury 2020 and remove the fog that's been attached to be able to see what's ahead of us in 2021. So, give you an example. For us, we lost almost half our clientele. We lost corporate clients we were working with. Forget about losing revenue. We've lost momentum in our business. We've lost so much opportunities that we could have been working on, but I need to think of myself, am I going to be a leader and focus on what we lost yesterday, or what's happening right now? Are my team still with me? Is the team still with me? Are our members needing more help? What can I learn? How can I become a better leader? How can I become a better coach? How can I become a better motivator to help and lead people in 2021? And to me, that's more important. So I ask you, how do you let go when you don't know how to? Okay? Just try. Stand up for yourself. Just plan it. Just do it as Nike says. Fear will be the new norm for 2021 because we're living in uncertain times. And media, the world, enemies, people who envy you, people who want to see you do poorly are going to bring that into your face. Competitors will try to bring fears around you to make you not step up to the next level. And fear attaches itself to weak mindsets, okay? Fear traps ideas. Fear traps visions and hopes of opportunity. Fear traps those who have failed, lost or not tried to better themselves or their health, which eventually kills you. So when you're living in constant fear, you can't see the opportunity ahead of you. When you're living in constant stress that you're overweight, your blood pressure's high, you tried to work out last year, it didn't work out, and you're constantly angry, you're not going to want to wake up tomorrow and do an AM cardio session because you're living in frustration and stress. But if you let go of yesterday to move into tomorrow, you'll notice that it's much easier. So how do we overcome fear and uncertainty, guys? Well, we can only overcome fear and uncertainty from the inside out, okay? And too many of us fail because we try to focus on the external world and our external thoughts, our external habits, but we should be looking to focus on the internal core values. Now, Tony Robbins talks about we're all motivated by, pain and pleasure, okay? I know that to do a podcast, I can either think of, oh my God, it's gonna give me pain now. I gotta sit down, I gotta come up with a topic, I gotta get my software out, I gotta get the camera out, I gotta record it, I gotta make sure I don't make any mistakes, I gotta get from my computer to my videographer, there's so many steps involved. And if I look at that as painful, I'm not gonna make a podcast. If I look at it as pleasurable, as you know what, once it's actually done, I'm gonna have practice making something cool for my members. I'm gonna be able to create some content to give to the community. And you know what, it may help somebody. And it may help bring me a new client that I don't have right now. So we need to think of focusing on the internal core values, how you see yourself. You cannot change who you are by trying to change your mind. The mind and body need to move together. Example, somebody wants to become healthy, they want to become fit. They read the book, The Secret. They watch endless videos with Tony Robbins. They watch endless mastermind groups. And they tell them, draw your core values, set up your goals, journal your notes, do everything on paper. But if you don't get your ass up and go for a jog and feel the sweat running down your head, if you don't feel the challenge of knowing you're walking or running up a hill, and then knowing that, damn, I got 15 minutes to go, if you don't have that challenge, that stress, from the physical to the mental, you can't lock them both together. And that's why so many people fail, because they try to start a fitness program and they fail to do the first thing, which is move your body. Okay? You gotta have a goal, but I would rather have someone forget dieting, forget writing down their goal, and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go out every day at 9 a.m. and jog for half an hour, come back, and then I'm gonna write my goal, then I'm gonna write my journaling, then I'm gonna make my meals, because you've gotten the first part out of the way. So we're talking about core values, beliefs, and the ability to take action in the right direction for our lives And it starts from you loosening your grip on things. Now, this is something that sometimes I struggle with because I often feel that I have to be in control of things and I should know what's going on in my business. I should know what the next step is, the next answers. I should know what the next marketing play is. I should know how to deal with a stressful situation with a client. I should be able to make this business grow and my family life grow. But because I'm constantly thinking of controlling things, I'm putting more pressure on myself. I'm choking myself out, guys. And if I don't realize this, and if I didn't watch this episode, and if I didn't sit to think, you know what? This is right. I need to loosen the grip on the way I listen, I touch, I taste, I hear, and I feel things. All of our senses need to be combined. And if we loosen the grip on life, not let go, but loosen the grip, not only will my tendinitis go away, but I'll be able to keep control of the things that are important in front of me. And as one of my mindset coaches, Randy, talks about is you can't see what's across the street if you're focused looking at the cars going by you. So how do we do that? How do we unlearn your bad habits? By loosening your grip on the way you perceive life, and sometimes you cannot control it, okay? 1, posture, our tonality, our choice of words, our body language, our morning and evening routines, our diets, our ability to move our bodies, all work together to define our state, okay? And state is something important. If I gave you this podcast and had tonality in this sense and was very educational and spoke in the same way for the entire 25 minutes, you wouldn't really be involved or interested to be listening to this podcast. But if I change the way I speak, if I change the way I stand, if I stand up, if I move my body, if I get out of my funk, out of my February funk, it's going to change my state. And if you change your state, ladies and gentlemen, you can change anything you want. Okay? So the vessel in which society or the world sees us is all dependent on our state. Do we seem happy, sad, excited, determined, confident, opportunistic? Or do we sound or appear the opposite, negative, upset, frustrated, easily irritable, okay? Or not interested in change or challenge? Here's an example. Someone calls in. How much does your personal training cost? What's your program about? I start to get into the conversation. The first thing I say is, can you tell me a little bit about your experience in training? Oh, I just want to know prices. No problem. So automatically, I know that person had a bad experience. They just want to know prices because they want to see what your price is based on relating to experience. If the price is maybe low enough, then maybe it would work with their previous experience. Or if the price is too high, they may say, well, that price is too high. My previous experience sucked in training. I had a poor trainer. I'm definitely not going to pay more for the same experience. So we need to make sure that let's use our daily production checklist provided. So at the end of this podcast, there'll be a little link at the bottom. And then there'll be a little production checklist that I want to give you guys. And I use it sometimes to click on it to help me keep me focused on my routine. It says that I take my morning vitamins, that I do my prayer, that I do my morning gratitude, that I tackle my top 3 dominoes of my day. And a production checklist kind of helps people keep in line with some of their daily duties. Why? Because if we can look at what we've accomplished on a day, we can work at getting little wins. And if you get little wins in life, you can get big accomplishments in the future. Versus looking at last year and how horrible last year was or how January was, right? So letting go of fear can only be accomplished if you let go of old, poor, negative, and unproductive habits and replace them with something that will help you or help others improve and move forward with optimism. So if you had a bad habit of going to bed late, set an alarm to give you a reverse alarm to remind you to go to bed half an hour earlier. If you know that after eating your chicken and rice and your salad for dinner, your chicken salad and your feta cheese, because you want to stay low to carbs for dinner, and you know that at 9, 10 o'clock at night you always go snack for chocolate or some kind of sweet, then make sure at 9 or 10 o'clock at night you set a reminder in your phone to remind you not to have that cheat. Or you take all the sweets in your home and you put them in a container, you put them in your laundry room. So you physically have to go to the laundry room downstairs or upstairs or wherever you ever have it to change that habit, okay? You also want to make sure you add new habits. New habits that equal new happiness, okay? So you used to go to bed late, now you go to bed half an hour earlier, just wake up half an hour earlier and do some morning routine. You used to have 1 or 2 drinks a night to cool your stress. Now you read for half an hour. You used to yell at your wife or kids when you come home from work because you were stressed, and I'm the first one to agree that when I come home sometimes, I came home with armor. And Jay Shetty talks about this in his book, Think Like a Monk, that we come home with armor, face shield, helmet, spear, shield in hand. We open our doors and we're still attached to who we are in our daily routines. I'm a fitness coach, I'm a gym owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a leader, but when I come home, I'm dad, I'm a husband, I'm none of those. So if I can't have a little bit of self-talk before I get into my door and say, this is the last conversation I'm gonna have my phone, I'm gonna try to turn my phone off when I get home, I'm gonna give my phone to my wife and tell her, listen, hold on to the wife for the next 3 hours, the phone for the next 3 hours. To block me, I'm not gonna be able to replace a bad habit for a good one. You used to eat sweets or junk food or carbs that are not healthy for you when you were mad, sad, scared. Now you eat veggies. You log how you feel, you journal how you feel, you listen to music when you're stressed out. You're in charge of your reality, guys. You're in charge of your destiny. The gym's not gonna help you. The coach ain't gonna help you. The diet's not gonna jump from the table and clean itself, wash itself, add olive oil, salt, and pepper, and then get into your mouth. You gotta make these steps happen. So you gotta take charge, and you gotta let go of the past to let in the future. Sometimes we can't because we're not being forced to. Had we gym owners and restaurant owners not been forced, and small businesses to realize the reality that your business has to shut down, I and other business owners would not look at pivoting to different online options. Things that we wanted to do but couldn't do in the past. We also want to look at the way our world is wired. And I believe our world is already messed up, okay? With so much pressure for us to look a certain way, talk a certain way, have a certain amount of followers on social media accounts and more, okay? We have imposter syndrome. And there's times of the month, of the week, that I feel like I have that. I'm about to put a video out. I've done hundreds of videos. I've competed for 9 years for drug-free bodybuilding. I've done hundreds of sporting events. I've won so many medals. I've spoken in front of so many corporations, yet sometimes I'll post a 60-second message and automatically my negative mindset starts thinking, your hair doesn't look good. You're not wearing the same outfit. You're not wearing the right outfit. You're not in proper lighting. Are people gonna look at that and laugh? And we all go through this. And it's because our grip is so bloody tight on what we're trying to control. And if we loosen up the grip and we loosen up on what we're trying to control in life, we won't have these anxieties, okay? If we let go of the past and say, you know what? I did 100 videos. If they were all horrible, who cares? If no one liked the video, who cares? If no one subscribes to my YouTube channel, who cares? I'm gonna do what's right now and move on. And I'm gonna do what's important for me. That's what cares. So all of this and more are merely fog that is getting in the way of you seeing and realizing and experiencing what truly is important in your life. And without letting go or letting loose of your grip for what you feel you do control, because really, guys, we don't control nothing but our thoughts, our emotions, and our feelings. When you die, when Elon Musk dies, when Bill Gates, anyone, the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, anyone in this world, when we die, what are you going to die with? Your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. You can't bring your money to the grave. You can't bring your kids. You can't bring your wife. You're going to bring your thoughts, emotions, and your feelings, and that's it. So if you remember that's all you really control in this world, you can change your state. I control my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, okay? I went and got a tattoo just when COVID hit. March 17th is our 11-year anniversary. We closed down our gym the next day due to the fact that the whole world was going into mess. And I got into a funk. And I got into a state where I constantly would switch personalities. And one day I'm the happy gym owner, husband, dad, motivator, coach to a lot of my clients, a lot of our people watching us. And then when I'm by myself, I turn into this quiet, insecure, unhappy, miserable, frustrated, scared father, gym owner, husband, parent, everything. And it was happening too quickly, and it was happening on a day, 5 times a day. And it wasn't normal. Why? Well, look at me. I'm a person that loves to motivate people. And I get anxious if I'm motivating other people. And then I'm told to close down my business, not operate, and try to make it through when other companies are operating at full capacity. So I got my tattoo. The tattoo says, happiness is a decision. And I got it on purpose to remind myself whenever I'm in a rut, whenever I'm not feeling happy. Because to me, feeling happy can mean many things. It means you had a great day, you saw your kids, you saw your wife, you had a great day of sales, you met someone that you've never seen in years ago, someone taught you a new skill, you had a great meal, you watched a great movie. Happiness is a state. And if you can't change that state, just like that, by snapping your fingers and saying, you know what, my business is closed right now, I'm going to change my state and be happy. I'm looking down at my toes and I can't see my toes because my belly's in the way. I don't like the way I look because my outfit, my little black skinny dress is sticking out, protruding on the sides. Change your state. Change the way you feel. And if you tell yourself, my decision to become healthy starts now, the rest is easy. I'm going to close off with a few small words and let you know that all of this and more are merely fog that's getting in the way of you seeing yourself and realizing and experiencing what is truly important in your life. And without letting go or letting loose of your grip on life, like I said before, for what you feel you do control, and letting go of the past, whether it was 2020, whether it was when you were a child, whether you got abused, whether your parents verbally abused you, whether you had a bad relationship, whether you almost drowned 10 years ago, and because of that, you're afraid of swimming, right? You can't receive what the future, what God, what your family, what your wife, what your clients, what your kids want to give you because your vision is blurred and you're not paying attention to the present joys and miracles we might have right in front of us. The ability to be alive, guys, is the ability to be thankful. And when do we feel so thankful to be alive? And when do we thank God for the smallest things in life? When stuff's taken away from you, right? You get into a car accident, you ruined your BMW that you spent so much money on, and it's a mess, but you didn't die. So you thank God for, my goodness, I got my health, right? You lost your job, your dream job that you love, but your wife gave birth to a healthy baby boy or girl, right? There's so many things that happen to us in this world that we take for granted. And if we think of COVID as being a blessing in disguise, which I now feel like that. I didn't feel like that before when Doug Ford talks, the Premier of Ontario, our government talks, and they say we're going to shut down businesses for another 20 days. I get angry. I get spiteful. I start feeling hate inside of me. But really, what can I do? He can't control his decisions. He's making a decision based on someone else telling him to do something, and he's also afraid that people may not vote for them. He can't control it. I can't control my decision to open up my club. But what I can control are how I feel right this second. I can control, am I going to create content? Am I going to start making YouTube videos? Am I going to start making content for my members? Am I going to have an online training program? Am I going to have training programs for corporations? Am I going to help people watching me, listening to me right now? Or am I going to have a pity party and be a dweller and be a yapper? Am I going to be a quacker? You know what a quacker is, guys? Quack, quack, quack. They're always complaining about something. How are you doing today? Well, my days, that's a quacker. So we're going to do a quick little recap, and remember that certain changes must be forced upon us. COVID was forced upon us. We had to change the way of living to adapt. We need to loosen our grip when it comes to life. Not let go, but loosen. You're constantly squeezing on trying to control things. And I'm a prime example of that. And the more you try to control, the worse it becomes. Heck, I got a teenage daughter. She's 13 years old. The more I try to control how she reacts and how we want her to be, the worse it's going to be for us. It's going to backfire. And all you parents watching, listening, you know what I'm talking about. We must let go of yesterday to receive the gifts of tomorrow, to receive what God is going to give us tomorrow. We're all being challenged to see what we do with the challenge and adversity. We need to make sure that we transform and not conform to the new normal. We're not looking to go back to the new normal. We're not looking to go back. Yes, we need to go back to being able to deal with the ability to go to sports games, to go to the theaters, to be able to go out and hug people and kiss people and go to our favorite restaurants and just have a meal. We want to go back to that. But if that can't be the process, we need to transform the way we think. I'm going to turn on Do Not Disturb. Perfect. And we need to make sure that we overcome fear and uncertainty with the way we think by changing our state. So if you're feeling negative, remember, it takes more muscles, guys, to frown than to smile. It takes more energy to be angry than to be happy. And if I can leave you with anything for this podcast for today, it's that remember that when you let go of the past, when you let go of past feelings, it's going to open up a new door to tomorrow. That's it. That's all. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Remember, when it comes to health and fitness, attitude is everything. If you can do us a favor, and if you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, we'd love to make sure we can reach a lot more people. We are on Instagram and Facebook if you want to search us on and follow us. Send us a tag if you enjoyed this episode. Let us know. Send us an email back. DM us. Leave us a comment. We want to know how we can improve to make things better for you. And remember, happiness is a decision. Make that choice today. Take care, guys. All the best, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Bye for now.